What's up, guys? Cody here with patch 11.2 rundown. So, same things happened this patch, and we're gonna go through them. Viego's gonna be coming out. Um, I don't really know what my thoughts are on Viego. When I glanced at his abilities and whatnot, I felt like they were wrong. I don't know if I would call them overpowered. The biggest part about his kit that seems overpowered fact that his ultimate is a teleport execute. Um, so think of like how Pike interacts, how Pike plays out in team fights, and how he like gets a kill, jumps like he gets he like jumps to somebody and gets a kill, jumps to somebody like with his ult and keeps getting kills like that. That's how Viego's gonna seem like he's gonna play. Except he's actually gonna be useful in fights outside of that because Pike is pretty useless outside of like starting to fight with a pick. But Viego seems like he might actually be useful in a sense, so we'll have to see how it goes. But he'll probably be strong. But I don't know if he's gonna be able to compete with all of the other like drain tanks not that are in the jungle along with everyone else that's in the jungle. So we'll see. Akali has her Q cost increase later on. This is nice. Akali's one of the strongest assassins in the game right now. So Seer gets his Q down decreased by 1 second. Kind of funny because we've actually been seeing a lot of his Seer in pro play. Caitlyn's getting a buff. Don't quite know why exactly. It's going up to 3.3 or 80. Felt like Caitlyn was actually in a spot. She wasn't a top tier ADC, but she was right underneath it, so probably might make her top tier. Probably makes her like right underneath at this point. How I see the meta ADCs is it Kai'Sa, Jhin, and Caitlyn probably. Darius passive gets a small nerf. Anything. Uno gets a bunch of buffs. It doesn't mean anything. Yeah, just you really the problem with Mundo, the problem with a lot of champions that are like Mundo, that all they do is they run up. They're just meat. They just run at you. They provide no CC until they actually get on to somebody. And yeah, that's like the entire problem. You just want more from champions in the game. They need to have either like they need to be like really strong fighters slash skirmishers that have dashes and whatnot, or they need to be tanks with actual. If you don't have that, you're just not a useful champion in the game in terms of top lane. At least gets a small nerf, doesn't mean anything really. Ivern, they're just fixing the problem they didn't fix last time, and Blanca's getting a buff. That's these changes actually don't change anything. Um, as long as they don't buffer damage, it doesn't change anything. Maokai's support is getting a nerf, which is quite funny because I felt like this was way uh overhyped than like how strong it actually is. Because in my opinion, this was a pretty weak pick. Especially like every time that like I would see a Maokai support, as long as my ADC is not dumb as all hell to walk into the bush, then Maokai really didn't do anything. Especially if I was just playing an enchanter or something. Even if I wasn't, I could literally play anything against Maokai support, and I would more often than not like come out on top. So It's kind of funny that this is getting nerfed, but hey, whatever. I'm not playing it. Nocturne getting a buff. 10 seconds off the ult is pretty important. And 2 seconds off the Q is also pretty important. Those are pretty big, actually. I don't... Again, I don't think it's going to be enough to push them into meta. Might be. I don't think so. He was getting pretty significant nerf. Five move speed seems like doesn't seem like a lot, but it ends up being a really big deal when you think of the fact that like 345 was like the fastest go, I think. Um, then 30 health makes a big deal early on. They are shifting some of Aatrox's healing onto I don't quite understand how this changes the power of Aatrox, so I'm not really going to go over it. But I do understand how the Olaf change is going to nerf him a small bit. They're just getting a little bit more lifesteal on the W, but reducing the healing amplification. So, like, this is a pretty significant nerf overall. Now, Senna, an attempt to buff support, which is interesting. I've been wanting to actually try support Senna for a while now, and these changes very good. Now the problem is that Senna at the end of the day is an enchanter support. Is what she really is. She's an enchanter support with decent. The problem is that he performs really poorly into Leona, Bard, Alistar, anything that can like catch her out really easily. She performs pretty poorly into. She also performs pretty poorly into long range matchups. So against Caitlyn and Jhin, she's not going to do much. And essentially against matchups that are just passive lane state. Also, on top of this, the game right now really does want you to have aggressive roaming supports so that way you actually can impact the map. And Senna doesn't exactly do that. She has a global ultimate, which can be useful. But if you're using your global ultimate over there or somewhere else, then not using it in lane. But I don't know. This right here, the increased race drop plus the increased gold is pretty much the biggest thing for why you would want to play this more now than ever. There's also the increased AP ratio on the Q, which is really important because I think if I had to make a build for Senna, the first thing I would try would be Imperial Mandate with Glacial Augment. I think that would be the first thing I'd try. So, I'll have to test this out, but I don't think it's going to be like top tier at all. Eiko gets a buff? Okay. Eiko gets a buff, but it doesn't mean anything. Soraka's just a bad champion right now. There's just better champions to play that are enchanted. Trundle gets a buff. Oh, Trundle gets a buff. Trundle gets a buff. It's pretty good. Trundle is one of those like low key, like under like one of those sleeper picks every time. And he's one of the only champions I can play in the jungle if I get autofilled. So it feels good to like when it feels good when he's good. Normally I can make him work when he's like top tier. Which always makes me think, huh, buffs to Trundle. Buffs to anybody that I play that people don't think are good. Let's see how that goes. Varus is getting a buff. The ult sound is the biggest thing here. 20 seconds off the initial ult. Pretty big. The mana growth thing doesn't really matter too much when you're already like you're going Comet, which has this is for if you're going poke Varus. If you're going on hit Varus, you're pretty useless. So poke Varus is the best thing to do. But normally you're going Comet, so you end up getting Mana Flow Band, and then you end up getting Presence of Mind. So you generally don't run out of mana, especially on top of that, you generally get a tier as well. So mana wasn't an issue really, but cool, I guess. And then the cooldown reduction on the ult is huge. Because this ult is just insta kill bot lane. It's so good. Zoe can no longer get redemption off of her spell thief. Yeah, this has been something that people have been asking for quite a while now. I think of like forever, actually. So cool. Essence Reaver gets a buff. Yeah, there should be restoring more mana now. Okay. Gale Force! And we're back up to 90 seconds on Gale Force. Now, Gale Force is an overrated item. The only people that use it well, Jhin and Caitlyn. Everyone else using it doesn't use it as effectively as other items. Important to note that. As I see so many people build Gale Force into the enemy, and then immediately die. Because they shouldn't be Gale Forcing into the enemy. They don't have the range to Gale Force into the enemy. And the only way for them to get into range is to put themselves in a bad situation, and they don't have the burst damage after they Gale Force in to clean up a kill. So realistically, this is just to make people realize that Gale Force is not a good item on anyone that's not a high range champion. And it's a nerf to those high range champions. Now, it going to 90 seconds. When is that? It was at 90 seconds before, and I said that 90 seconds is a ridiculously long time compared to 60 seconds. So, yeah, it's just gonna end up being used less, but it's a pretty significant nerf. Rocket Boat gets a nerf. It's a pretty big nerf. Hero Mandate. I don't quite understand the change. Okay. So this changes to make it so that solo laners don't buy this anymore. The coordinated cooldown applies when ally can mark to now initial application of slow/immobilize. I don't understand what this means. This doesn't make a lot of sense because the way I read this, it makes it even better for solo laners, and it makes the trigger condition even more confusing. So, normally how Imperial Mandate works is you apply a slow or immobilize, and you put the Imperial Mandate mark on them in addition to dealing damage with Imperial Mandate. And then the coordinated fire damage happens when your ally attacks them as well. I think that damage is more than the initial. So the way I read this is that the cooldown is just cooldown starts as soon as you immobilize somebody, which means that it's just better for everyone. It seems like really weird It seems really weird, the wording of this, when they say like we want to take it out of solo lanes, but then this change has nothing to do with solo lanes. It actually makes it better for solo lanes. I don't know. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Moving on. Kraken Slayer. I don't understand this either. Kraken Slayer is extremely powerful in champions that churn out on hits. Those abilities tend to have on hit modifiers for this exact purpose. Kraken Slayer will now leverage those modifiers of the following champion abilities. I think all this is saying is that the damage from Kraken Slayer will now properly work with the on hit modifiers. I don't know. It's not well worded. Shurelya's battlesong. This is a the item is having the stats moved around and whatnot, but overall this is a nerf. I think it's a nerf because tanks can still take this, but it's not as useful. That's the big problem. Not as useful. In fact, it builds out of the other items that build into Moonstone Renewer and Zero Mandate. Yeah, this item was like the thing that was keeping me sane in my games because I could actually get my team to do stuff. But now, oof. Like pretty much this means that any tank that wanted to get shurelya's now has to just get M tank. Which is really unfortunate. Because they're saying like with the cost reduction of the chem tank, the niches for shurelya's and chem tank are getting too close to comfort, so we're differentiating the two while making it more suitable for enchanters and AP users don't really care for this item. The only person that's AP that wants this item is Bard. Only person who wants this. You could maybe make an argument for Karma getting this item, but that's only if you want to go like super fast. You don't ever do that. This item was only good on Bard for in terms of AP. Now everybody else that was using it, tanks, and now they can't use it. You can, but AP is not really useful on a lot of tanks. The less health, the mana regen, the no longer granting base movement speed off of it. Yeah, it's bad. This is literally an item that will only be used on Bard. And there was a big difference between Chemtank and Shurelya's. There was. Shurelya's was really good for helping your team out. It made a huge difference for getting your team into a fight and getting your team out of a bad situation. It was really great to like buy Shurelya's and like, you know, I Leona alt and Shurelya is my team in. You know, I'm looking to go in as Alistar. Shurelya is my team in. Rel really liked this item. You can Shurelya's and get in with your team. But now that doesn't exist. And there's no reason for everybody else outside of Bard to ever build this item. Because why build this item when we can get Imperial Mandate? We can get Moonstone Renewer. There's no reason to. Get Shurelya's battlesong. Or there's no reason to get Shurelya's battlesong. Because you're losing out on so much and everything else. Maybe if you're just like Omega snowballing, but even then, like you're putting a lot of hope on your team. You know, I don't ever expect Yumi to get this item just to get her team to go faster. I don't expect anybody to get this item just to get their team to go faster from any enchanter. Yeah, overall, it's a nerf. Like you could maybe argue it's a buff for Bard, but I don't think so. Gargoyle, getting buffed because it's really expensive. Glaive has its cost reduced to only lose 5 AD. That's pretty good. This is a lot better. Um, for like it's just everyone. It's a more supporty item. So it being cost by is good. I did feel like it was really expensive for compared to what it used to be. Serpent's Fang is getting reduced. They keep buffing this, and it's such a neat item that it generally never gets used. Chainsword. Ooh, lose 50 HP off of 100. I guess you're not buying it. You're buying this for the Grievous one only. So, but really, you shouldn't be finishing Order Reminder to this. Beyond or Executioners be finishing this unless you have to. My opinion. So because literally, this health thing is literally just having execute. Ruby Crystal, and I know it gives you CDR with that as well. Phantom Dancer getting 5% more, 5% more. But they're costing 100 more gold. When they do this, they really need to say total cost has been increased by 100 gold. Like this is poorly, but I hate it when Riot does like different things, different like typing wordings for things when they're just talking about like the same things. Really awkward. Like here, total cost decreased, like and whatnot, because like the total cost went up. Like it went from 850 gold to 950 gold. The total cost went up, but it doesn't say it went up. Very weird. Okay, Crossfire Gauntlet and Chem Tank are getting a significantly cheaper. Um, However, it loses some of the armor, and Chem Tank loses some of the magic. Also, Chem Tank is getting the stats change. So now not being able to shurelya is bad for tanks, but Turbo Chem Tank was like needed then as a result of it. And overall, this is better for support tanks that wanted to have better engages. Um, Honestly, didn't really give a shit about the fact that you were getting 50 MR from this item, and it was very awkward that you were getting 50 MR from the item as well. Um, so yeah, this is a overall this is a huge buff for Ken Tank. The like not having the slow resist doesn't really matter when all your goal is to do is to get into the enemy. Because after that point, you don't care if you don't care about tenacity necessarily, outside of the fact that it's just a nice stat in general. And you definitely don't give a shit about slow resist when you're running into the enemy. Like it's either you're gonna get in or you're not. So yeah. So now it is ability haste instead of the tenacity and slow resist. Um. Overall, that's good. I think it's good. Peace. Yeah, it's gotta be good. I mean, I'm trying to think of like how this would work with Leona and Alistar. Granted, I would just rather have shurelya's. That's not really an option now. So, but getting extra ability haste, I don't know. I say it's good, but it probably actually doesn't mean anything. I have ability haste means less and less as you get more ability haste. So I don't know. Maybe for like Leona, I don't see it being as useful for Alistar because Alistar you go in, you go in. Leona at least like you it would decrease the stun on the ult. I don't know. It seems weird. This one thing. I don't know. It's just really frustrating that Shurelya's got nerfed for tanks. It it's just really frustrating because this is the better of the two items for in almost every situation. It was almost the better of the two items for everyone. Okay, then we just have bug fixes and whatnot. Um, so yeah, overall, I don't really know what to think of this patch. Certain thing like there's certain like changes like the Svar's change, Trundle change, Senna changed. Certain changes to champions that were like they were like decent. They weren't top tier, they weren't meta. Um, but they got buffed. So we'll have to. I don't think they're going to be meta because the ADCs didn't get nerfed. But they probably will be decent picks. No one's playing Varus right now, but I do think like Oak Varus is actually really good because he can play safe while also applying kill pressure in lane and whatnot. Just applying a lot of pressure in lane in general. We nerf some annoying people. Once again I don't really know exactly why we buffed Caitlyn. She's definitely like the third best ADC in the game right now. Even might be better than Jin, but probably not. The Gale Force nerf does hurt Caitlyn though, so yeah, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. But yeah, thanks guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, remember to like and subscribe. And remember, I stream on Twitch at CW5136. You can hop over there and ask me any questions that you like, or just come and chill in general. Um, yeah, I'm always down to talk and whatnot. And I stream irregularly, but you can kind of catch me most evenings during the week.